Hey there, comic book friends, I'm Travis. It's time for another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes. Pardon my appearance for what it is. I am in between doing house repairs, waiting for some paint to dry, so I figured while I was waiting for that paint to dry, I would squeak out some videos. Otherwise, who knows when you'll hear from me, right? So, this is for comics for the week of, I want to say, March 19th. These are the comics that, if you keep up with my What the Fugue, these are the comics that came a week late. So let's talk about those. Shall we? First off, in no particular order, Five Ghost issue number 10. Still really enjoying this comic. It's really strange. It reads so fast because it's not very wordy, and but I still really enjoy it. You got giant crabs in this. We've had this end battle. We're on this mystical island, which, heck, the island maybe doesn't even really exist. It just exists because of the Dreamstones. We're gonna find out some of that stuff. Get a little more, a little more look at this Sinbad character that's in this. Interesting stuff. We've got some, time issues as far as how much time has passed for the different groups of people that are in this. Still really love looking at the art, the action, the sequences that go on in it. Just a really, really fun book. Not a depthy book, but just really enjoyable. And it continues to surprise me how much I enjoy it for how little, what little content as far as filling my head with tons of story ideas or that sort of thing. But still, there's just something about it that's very appealing. It's very, and I'll continue to use this analogy, it's very old school Saturday morning cartoon action adventure in just kind of a cool way. And I really, really dig it for that. So, Five Ghost issue number 10, good stuff. Lazarus, issue number 7. We're back off of our hiatus. Interesting stuff going on here. We are getting a little bit of a plot line that I kind of wondered if we were going to get at some point in this thing. We've got some potential terrorists or people that are basically rebelling. We get a little bit of that information going on with Forever. And then we got this group of people who are trying to make it to Denver to get themselves signed up to hopefully become skilled laborers and become serfs as opposed to waste in this place. And hopefully eke out some level of a better existence for themselves. We get more of their slice of life, which is horrible and miserable, of course. Still really curious to see how their existence ends up tying in with Forever's existence, because this book really is about the Lazarus. It is about Forever, and so my assumption would be is we're not getting this side story just to give us a side story. We're getting this story because the information that's being provided there is going to have some value and have some impact on the main story as far as how that affects Forever and what she has going on. We get some more flashback scenes of Forever as a child and her dealing with the programming that she's been given and the expectations that are put upon her, and that sort of stuff. Really interesting. Really, really interesting book. Still really enjoyable, of course. It's Rudka, and he's, firing all cylinders for this really dark, depressing, near future type style book. White Suits issue 2. This is written by Frank Barbera, same guy who does Five Ghosts, of course, and the wonderful art by Toby Cyrus. I can just look at the art all the time, regardless of whether the story that's going on in it. The art is just so dynamic. It's this black and white, continued gorgeous black and white, dynamic, crazy, stretched out poses and scenes, and the only accent in it is hues of red. Everything from deep blood red to the hot, yellowish orange of fire. Just excellent, excellent art. This comic shows that Frank Barbera does actually do a lot of writing. I wondered, like with Five Ghosts, how much of the heavy lifting is really just solely the artist, and how much content is he actually putting into a script. This one, much more so, much more wordy, lots of dialogue, lots of discussion going on, lots of thought going on. So, like, the guy obviously knows how to tell a story. They just, choosing to tell the story in a different fashion than Five Ghosts. Awesome. That's great stuff. interesting story. As they're trying to track down these 5 ghosts, and our main female FBI agent is kind of pulling all of her resources and kind of going a little bit rogue to track down these guys who are responsible for her father's disappearance, and all of that leading into the guy that she has kind of captured and is using in belief that he used to be a white suit, and he's got some backed up memory that's somehow gonna she's going to gain access to that in some way, and have that get her where she needs to be, while our main crime lords have hired basically some crazy ass mercenaries who are probably just as bonkers as what the white suits are, to try and deal with the white suits. So a war is coming. Exciting stuff. The art, like I said, is just incredibly dynamic. The painting, the coloring on it, and just wow, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, next up is Six Gun issue 39. We are a mere 11 issues away from the end of this series. Excellent story here. Things are just going crazy. They're in this town. The two main forces are battling each other, life and death in many places. Struggling to deal with the evil that's there. And of course, our main evil minion, he is carrying around Missy Hume's gun. He cannot be destroyed. They stab him in the eyes, they stab him in the heart. He just keeps coming back, and so you're not sure exactly what's going to happen. They continue to feel the pull and the weight of Drake and Becky continue to feel the weight of the guns that they are carrying. They know they need to get them destroyed. It's the only way they're going to get this evil feeling away from themselves and set the world on its right course. But heck, it's just really hard to tell if that's really going to happen. Where is the Lady Grey going to land in all of this stuff? She's the real evil force behind gathering the guns and putting them on the seal and changing the world. And you've got the Sons of Abraham are trying to do everything they can to stop that from happening, and how far are they going to take it? All really interesting stuff as we roll on into the, this last year of Six Gun and what's really going to come out of it. It will be really, really interesting, because I wouldn't say that Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt aren't going to let the world just get totally hosed by the time this thing's all said and done. I don't know that there's going to be a winner. I don't know if there's going to be a winner out of this when it's all said and done. But excellent, excellent, excellent. And lastly, I'll talk about Sex Criminals issue number 5. This issue wasn't as charming as the last issues have been. It continues to focus more on John, who is by far a less charming character than Susie, the female main protagonist in the comic. We get a little more of his antisocial behaviors come forward in this and are described in some more detail. We get a little more information on kind of the background of the sex police stuff that's there. This ends the first arc of them escaping those, quote-unquote sex police, and they're now on the run. I'm not sure exactly where this book is going now. I hope they don't get too cute. I hope they don't focus too much on their letters page, for instance, which I don't read a lot of. I know a lot of people think that it's fun, and I'm not against it. It's just not necessarily my cup of tea. There it tends to get a little on the juvenile side, and I'm hoping the comic doesn't drift too far into that, because I think it's been a pretty smart comic willing to talk about sex and sexuality without a lot of crazy hang-ups, or the hang-ups that the characters have are okay, and they talk about them and they describe them and that sort of thing, which is all great. I think those are all great, and they're interesting subjects, and you can have do a lot of interesting stuff with that. I don't want the comic to be, some sort of serious thing, because it's never been that. But I'm hoping that we don't drift too far off into the juvenilia. And I think the reason this issue felt a little more that way is because, once again, we're concentrating a little more on John, and John approaches his sexuality and his dealing with the quiet or Come World, as he names it, is from a more juvenile standpoint. And so that's why it feels more that way. So what I'm saying is I'm hoping for more Susie-centric stories, because we get more on the Susie side of things. It's less juvenile and more, it feels like it has some emotional content to it. So that's where I am with that. Still enjoying it. This wasn't as fun as some of the others. I've enjoyed some of the others, but not going to deter me from picking up some more issues of it unless it continues to go down the path that I'm not interested in. But so far that hasn't really been the case. So still a really fun issue, but not as good as some of the others have been. And that's it for the No Capes for that 2 weeks ago. Soonish, hopefully, I will get in between all the other stuff I have going on. And the latest week's worth of books I will talk about. But thanks for watching for those who did. And I will catch you later on in other videos.